Well, welcome out there once again to my program. Always a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to have you out there watching my show. I would like to, at this time, remind the audience that today is December 7th. And we know what happened on December 7th. The Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. That was, as President Roosevelt at that time said, a day of infamy. It was a sneak attack. Sneak attack, of course, that means without warning. Japanese attacked American territory, the island of Hawaii. Many hundreds of servicemen were killed, and I imagine a number of civilians also. That was the beginning of our entry, the United States of America, into World War II. And based on the military strategy, the plan was to defeat the Nazis in Germany first, at the same time battle against the Japanese in the Pacific, and eventually, if needed, invade the mainland of Japan. But at the conclusion of World War II, in the Pacific, as you recall, the atomic bombs were dropped. There were two, one on Nagasaki and the other on Hiroshima. That concluded World War II as far as that episode in the Pacific was concerned, and the Japanese surrendered. So at this time, I would like to hold a moment of silence. Thank you. So, I want to give the brief legal tip of the week, and we'll go into the regular program. And that is, briefly, this is about foreclosing on a house. And there's been some controversy over the years in regards to holding the note and holding the mortgage. But cases have come out over the years, especially with all the foreclosures in houses since 2008, when the economy descended into the Great Recession. You remember many people lost their homes. The effect of that is still being felt by many people who lost their homes and in the process lost their jobs. So basically what it is that the court has confirmed that a foreclosing entity need not hold the underlying note in addition to the mortgage. And basically the mortgagee, that's the person who loans the money. It could be a bank, it could be a private mortgage company. They need only act as the authorized agent for the note holder in order to foreclose. So I want you to keep that in mind. That gets very complicated at times. People are losing their property. Foreclosure is not too far away. There's been many cases in regards to the note. The note is basically describes the amount of money that indicates the amount of money you've borrowed. It's sort of like a promissory note. You borrow so much money for so much for so length of a period of time, and at an interest rate, and it gives an idea how much you're supposed to pay each month. And once you make all the payments, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. I mean, some mortgages have gone off as long as 40 years. And you can imagine the interest that has been paid on a 40-year note, a mortgage at the end of 40 years. So that's the note aspect, and the mortgage indicates that the house is put up as collateral to pay the note. So if you borrow money and you want to use your house as collateral, then you put the house up as the collateral, and if you don't pay the note, then you're going to face foreclosure. Foreclosure is that the house will be taken over by the owner of the note. You'll be put out of the house. So that's pretty much it for that little part of mortgages and notes and foreclosure. Well, I have as a guest once again, school committee man Joseph Martins.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Your partner Gabe Andrade is not here this evening.
No, he's not. He has another function to deal with.
Ah.
Called grandkids.
Did he get an excuse slip?
Yeah, exactly. I'll write one out for him.
Well, I see that you were reading this very studiously.
It's very interesting. School stability for youth and foster care.
Now, is this something new for the school department?
Yes, it is new. Well, foster care children are not new.
No.
But this apparently this is a new law that
have you
has taken become into effect.
Have you seen this before?
No, I have not. This
Okay.
is the first time.
Then I can grill you on it.
Sure, absolutely. No. But much of it is you just know that what's going to be there.
I know you briefly looked at it, but you think it's similar to what takes place already, or is this going to be something that school committee, school department is going to have to?
There are some issues in here that are will be new to the school department, and also as I know this is a presentation, but the class that this was on and the material that I have here, there's some unanswered questions.
Oh, I'm sure. This was a legal seminar I took last week, and it was new to the attorneys and other people who were there. It has to do with DCF cases, Department of Children and Families. As you know, they, in the process of what they do is that if need be, they remove children from their parent or parents based on neglect, abuse, things of that nature.
That currently goes on. Unfortunately, that's happened, and Fall River has some students that are residents of the home on Highland Avenue.
St. Vincent's?
St. Vincent's, yes, St. Vincent's. And it's unfortunate that the students have to be placed in a situation like that. Sometimes they're just orphans, and sometimes that they are just parents are neglectful, and the student is taken out of the home for that neglect from whatever it might be. In addition to that, then you also have rebellious students, even though they may come from a well-established family, a home, but they're just plain rebellious and get into all kinds of legal issues to the point that they're under the direction and care of the Department of Children and Families.
What the presenter of the seminar basically, I would say, ended up saying is that there were three things that have to be kept in mind that are paramount to the whole new law here. And I'll read the first one and you can comment. And it says that all foster children now have the right to remain in school of origin under the new provisions of Title I
Yes, that's new.
Okay, let me ask you, what was the old?
That whatever community that the student was transferred to, that community becomes the school in which the student is to enroll in. And then no matter, it could be like going as close as Fall River to Somerset. If you're now in a home in Somerset, or vice versa for that matter, then that local school system is obligated to provide the education for that child.
So is this going to, how do you think this might affect the Fall River school system?
Well, that's a concern because of the fact that on page 5, it states on that, in that DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, must develop a state plan to ensure kids in foster care remain in their school of origin. No later than the 2017-18 school year, which starts.
Coming
It's
fast.
coming, absolutely so. It's just around the corner
Yeah.
in there. But when you go to the next page, page 6, it says the LEA, which is the local education agency, must have procure to ensure transportation to maintain a child in the foster care in the school of origin. So that means that, if the child was in Fall River, moves to Swansea, then the school of origin still remains Fall River, but the child isn't living in Fall River, is living in Swansea.
Oh, yeah.
But now, this Fall River is obligated to provide the transportation from Swansea to Fall River and back to the foster home located in Swansea.
And that wasn't, that hasn't been like that.
No, that's, and
as we
now
speak.
this is
An additional financial burden.
right, and the very next sentence, it says, who pays, DCF or LEA for transportation? But the only thing is, there's no answer to that.
Well, currently, I mean, this is new,
Yeah.
so the battle will take place.
Absolutely, certainly, I can understand.
And they
from-
also say that the LEA must establish a point of contact.
Yes,
So I guess that is in the school system, someone.
someone,
If local DCF area offices does, or does, it says in writing, but, so there'll have to be some kind of, I guess, agreement, negotiated.
there has to be something in someone who is going to be like the educational guardian of that child.
Now, do you think that this is going to create a new position in the school department
I don't know.
to deal
that
with all these
Depends
foster?
upon how many. We have quite a few.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. All these
kids,
foster care kids, and of course, there will be additional ones. Will this manifest them into a situation where someone is going to need to handle all this?
It just becomes, if these answers do not come quickly, it becomes an unfunded mandate.
Well,
And
yeah, it seems like that right now. They're telling you to do something, but
Yeah.
where are you going to get the money?
That's true, absolutely so. Where are you
Isn't
gonna
that the
get
federal
money?
government for you? They tell you what to do, but or what they want you to do, but they neglect to give you any money for it.
Exactly. So that's going to be a problem in there. But I understand that. Hey, look, if it does, kids who go from one school to another school have difficulty in transitioning. I think
Well,
that's,
you're right, because I think what they were getting at is that the disruption of the poor child being taken out of the house, and then on top of it, being removed from the school of origin to another school is like, it's a double effect.
Correct.
So it seems they want to maintain some stability and some ease in the you know.
If you're a bright student, but you find yourself, the student finds him or herself in a situation where, oh my goodness gracious, I'm now in a foster arrangement in here, but I was going to a fall river.
Usually no fault of the child.
Right.
Because they could be 6, 7 years old and have no
Absolutely.
idea what is going on.
True.
The police come to the house with a social worker. The child is removed. Sometimes it's a very traumatic situation. The child is crying. The mother is screaming. The police are trying to be as cordial as possible to remove the child. The social worker is there trying to ease the situation. And then child, that night, or the next day, is finding itself living in a home that they know nothing about.
So, absolutely so. Now you look at that scenario, and you're now into that new classroom in a new school, of which case, and with the assumption of that you're a very bright student. You go in there, and with all kids you don't know, now how do I act? The material that's there, I've already had. So I don't want to portray myself as the smarty pants.
Or you might not have had it because
Right.
they're advanced and you're
Correct.
2 weeks
And then
behind.
on the opposite side of that,
And you're going to be considered maybe a dummy.
that's right. That's right. And it's very traumatic for the student. So I can understand why this the law has been changed so that the student remains in the school of origin. So from an educational standpoint, on the student, him or herself, it's a good thing. But now the issue of transportation comes into effect.
And that's a big cost.
And that's a big cost, absolutely
If
so.
it's only one student, does that mean it's going to be a taxi?
Yes, absolutely so. We have students that are transported by taxi right now, and that is a big expense. But it's like, well, who's going to pay for that? Is the school of now the student is again and I'm using the term, it was the Stevens home in Swansea. He's residing there, but yet is going to be going to a Fall River school. So
Well, let me ask you this, as a hypothetical. Since DCF has removed the child, and it's created a situation where transportation now is needed, would it be incumbent upon them to pay for it?
I agree. I agree. But then they turn around and say, hey, I don't have the money
Well,
to do this.
I guess they would be encouraged to try to find a foster placement in the city.
Absolutely so. And there-
Because I know of situations based on cases I've had where children have been moved quite a distance.
Mhm.
And of course, the transportation cost would be,
There is some consideration for this on page 7. Every child's case plan must include assurances that the DCF decision for foster placement of a child takes into account appropriateness, that means the education, so the student is in an appropriate educational setting, and the proximity
yeah,
of the school placement. So that, if a student was transferred from Boston to St. Vincent's and was going to a Boston school, to pay for it, from now St. Vincent's to Boston, and in the morning traffic, it's not an appropriate. I mean, at least you could make the case it's
I
not
recently
appropriate.
had a case, Joe, where the child was removed from his school, obviously, because the child was placed in Connecticut,
Oh, my goodness
an
gracious.
hour and a half away, and it wasn't, you might call permanent. It had to go still through a process before it would become permanent. Unfortunately, it didn't become permanent. The child was then removed from Connecticut and placed back here in the area, and not at the foster home that the child was originally in when it was removed from Fall River. So, you know, there are instances where the child gets placed out of state.
Oh, yeah, absolutely so. But, you know, in that situation, if Fall River were to have to pay that transportation, and it's like, wait, an hour and a half away. Well, just go to Boston for crying out loud, in the early morning traffic is going to take you an hour and a half.
Easy.
And as a result,
I went to Providence yesterday, it took over an hour from
Yeah.
Fall River to Providence.
right, you know, it's just not, you know, the proximity is too far. When are you going to start classes? Classes start at 8 o'clock. You're going to start at 9:30 when the class is already started, the school's day is already started.
Well, if they had to be brought to Fall River, the poor child would have to get up 5 o'clock in the morning. I
yeah,
mean, to get ready, then the transportation, especially if it's from Connecticut, it was a 2-hour ride.
Right, you know, certainly the child, whatever problem, that child has loads and loads of problems to begin with. To have that taken on or put onto the poor kid's back,
Well, that's the
you know,
concern.
it just become rebellious at all.
That's why the seminar was put on to lawyers that take these types of cases, because we were urged to be very aware of the problems involved, not with DCF, not with the school system, for the advocacy of the child who we represent, and the trauma and the confusion. So this is it is a major concern.
Sure is.
Let's get to this is page 14. I just read the first one, and let's get to the second one. It says all foster children have a right to immediate enrollment if moving to a new school. So basically what that says, the new school can't say, well, we can't take the child. It has the right to immediate enrollment.
Yep.
So it could be a child coming to Fall River.
If the
Maybe
child,
a child was living in Swansea, removed from Swansea, placed in foster care in Fall River on a Monday. On a Tuesday, school department gets a knock on the door, and they're saying, we want this child immediately enrolled.
if there's, without the paperwork, don't worry about that. Don't worry about your grades. Don't worry about anything. You're in grade 7. You're going to go to a grade 7 in one of the middle schools.
It says immediately.
And yes, absolutely so. Then
Does that happen now?
I don't think so.
All right.
Yeah,
So under
there's
this,
a time frame that okay, hey, look, we need to have your paperwork from your sending school, from the school that you
well,
were at.
that was something I think they brought up, was that some schools, it's an inordinate delay as far as enrollment. And what this is saying, the child has a right to immediate enrollment. No,
Well, that especially when it becomes closer and closer to was it October 15? That's the date that you know, for your attendance purposes.
To be
you know,
enrolled?
for your enrollment, and based upon you the amount of money you get in Chapter 70, right? And so you hang on to the student up until that date, and now you have that student recorded as the one of the total in the total, okay? Afterwards, after that date, then it's okay, because the fact that for that fiscal year,
You're going to get
your
that.
enrollment is the higher one, because you kept that student on record.
But not necessarily
You're
in
right,
body
absolutely so.
at the
Yep,
school.
it's on record, this student is here, and you can, but the next day, okay, that date has gone by, the official recording is submitted to the Department of Education, and now the student leaves, all right, fine, and anyway, you try like crazy to keep the kid at least until that date.
Okay, actually, the program is going by pretty quickly, and this is an interesting subject. Let's get to the last one on that page 14 at the top, in that box, and it says, foster children in STAR programs and temporary shelters no longer considered homeless under McKinney-Vento.
That's a new one, because of the fact that those students right now that are at St. Vincent's are transported. We receive McKinney-Vento funds for the transportation of those students in there. But if they're no longer considered as homeless, does that mean that funds goes out the window?
Well, that'll be for the school department.
I know, I'll have to deal with that later.
Well, you're on notice.
There you go, thank you.
You've got secret information here.
There you
You know,
go.
it's like a broker in the stock market, inside information. All right?
Very good.
And I would, personally, I would consider no one else, and you know, yourself and Gabe.
Oh, thank
So
you.
when
Yeah, I'm going to keep this.
yeah. So, no longer considered homeless. So, they were considered homeless before this new law, when they were at a STAR program or a temporary shelter. So, I'm not sure what that means myself, homeless. I mean, well, I know what homeless is, but not considered homeless. Was there a negative part of, before this law was enacted, if a child was considered homeless and in a shelter?
Yes, they were living out of their cars, living out of like the mother.
But what impact would that have in regards to the school system? So they leave the car in the morning and they go to school.
It's just that they are not prepared for the day. They haven't had breakfast, although there's breakfast at school, but it takes a very strong student to be able to handle all of these types of problems.
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, the student just gives up. I don't care anymore. Nobody cares
We didn't
about me.
we didn't get into this page after page, but there is a chart here, as I recall, which indicates that children who are moved numerous times while they're in foster care tend to have lower rating or lower level education.
Oh, absolutely.
It affects the homeless, it affects the graduation rate.
Absolutely.
So, well, Joe, nice to have you on the program again. Maybe we can get deeper into this at another time. I want to thank you out there for watching, and if you have any questions in regards to what we just discussed, contact Joe Martin, school committee man. He's got the information, and I'm sure he'll be very, very happy to explain what this has, what effect this has in regards to maybe your student or the school department. So thank you out there for watching. I'll see you next time.